The Senate chamber fell eerily silent, broken only by gasps and the rapid, panicked shuffle of senators retreating. Julius Caesar, the most powerful man in Rome, lay lifeless, his blood pooling on the marble floor. But while Caesar's heart had stopped, Rome's pulse quickened dangerously. What followed his assassination wasn't peace, nor a restoration of the old republic his assassins hoped for. Instead, Rome plunged headlong into chaos, civil war, and intrigue. A gripping saga of betrayal, ambition, and ruthless power plays that reshaped history. In the immediate aftermath of Caesar's shocking murder on the Ides of March, 44 BC, Rome descended swiftly into uncertainty. The conspirators, led by Brutus and Cassius, envisioned themselves liberators, convinced Rome would hail them as heroes. Instead, they found only cold suspicion and rising fury. Caesar had been a populist hero, beloved by many who remembered his generosity and military brilliance. The streets filled with citizens mourning his death, soon turning their grief to wrath, setting the stage for violent reprisals. Amid this turbulence emerged Mark Antony, Caesar's fiercely loyal deputy. Quick to grasp the gravity of the moment, Antony delivered an incendiary eulogy at Caesar's funeral, expertly stirring the emotions of the crowd. He displayed Caesar's bloody toga, pointing out each dagger hole, igniting an inferno of outrage among the Roman populace. The conspirators, suddenly realizing their grave miscalculation, fled Rome to regroup and gather military strength, preparing for inevitable conflict. Yet, Antony wasn't the only player vying for control. Caesar's grandnephew and adopted heir, Octavian, just 19 and barely tested, boldly entered Rome's deadly political fray. Intelligent and ruthlessly ambitious, Octavian quickly positioned himself as Caesar's legitimate successor. Demonstrating remarkable political acumen, he cleverly maneuvered between political giants, securing both Caesar's fortune and the loyalty of key veterans of Caesar's armies. Rome's elite scoffed at this inexperienced youth, underestimating him severely, a costly mistake they'd soon regret. Meanwhile, Antony, Octavian, and Marcus Lepidus, another powerful general, forged a tense yet strategic alliance known as the Second Triumvirate. Driven more by mutual necessity than genuine trust, they swiftly acted against Caesar's assassins. In a brutal purge known as the proscriptions, political enemies were executed or forced into exile, their property confiscated. This merciless campaign sent shockwaves through Rome, eliminating foes and filling the triumvirs' coffers, their power solidified by fear. The decisive confrontation came at Philippi in 42 BC. On this blood-soaked battlefield, Antony and Octavian decisively crushed Brutus and Cassius. Haunted by guilt and despair, both conspirators ended their own lives rather than face capture. The conspirators' dream of a restored republic died with them, and Rome found itself under the uncontested dominion of the triumvirate. However, power inevitably breeds rivalry. The triumvirate quickly splintered as Octavian and Antony began eyeing each other warily, mistrust gnawing at their uneasy alliance. Lepidus, sidelined and politically neutered by his more formidable partners, was soon removed from power. Octavian controlled the West and Rome itself. Antony dominated the wealth and resources of the eastern provinces, setting the stage for an epic showdown. Antony's alliance and passionate affair with Cleopatra, Egypt's charismatic and powerful queen, further complicated matters. Rome viewed Cleopatra with suspicion and xenophobia, casting Antony as a Roman corrupted by foreign influence. Octavian exploited this sentiment masterfully, propagating the idea that Antony had abandoned Rome for decadent Egyptian excess. The rift widened dramatically, fueling propaganda and tensions that culminated in war. The decisive clash erupted at the Battle of Actium in 31 BC. In a dramatic and brutal naval encounter off Greece's coast, Octavian's forces, skillfully commanded by his brilliant Admiral Agrippa, triumphed decisively. Antony and Cleopatra fled to Egypt, their cause shattered and morale destroyed. In Alexandria, sensing defeat, both chose suicide over humiliation and captivity, marking a tragic end to their tumultuous romance and ambitions. With his final rivals vanquished, Octavian stood unrivaled, ushering in a new chapter for Rome. By 27 BC, he masterfully rebranded himself as Augustus, Rome's first emperor, skillfully cloaking his autocratic power under the guise of restoring republican traditions. His rule initiated the Pax Romana, a golden age lasting nearly 2 centuries, characterized by relative peace, cultural flourishing, and unprecedented prosperity. Yet, the shadow of Caesar's assassination lingered. Rome's political identity had irrevocably shifted from republic to empire, driven by the unintended consequences of the conspirators' blade. Caesar's death, rather than restoring Roman republican virtue, cemented the foundation for imperial rule, drastically reshaping Rome's destiny. The narrative of Rome post-Caesar is one of stark warnings about political ambition, unchecked power, and the unintended consequences of violence. Caesar's assassins intended freedom, yet they unleashed a chain reaction that demolished the republic they desperately sought to save. Rome's empire, born from the bloodshed and political maneuvers following Caesar's murder, became a lasting testament to the perilous allure and destructive potential of absolute power. Ultimately, Rome's story serves as a timeless cautionary tale, reminding humanity that history often pivots dramatically on a single, fateful act. The aftermath of Augustus's consolidation of power wasn't merely an end, but rather the beginning of a new, intricate chapter in Roman history. Beneath the tranquility of the Pax Romana, political intrigue and clandestine machinations simmered continuously, often erupting in brutal internal conflicts within Rome's elite circles. The newfound peace brought prosperity, but it was a fragile balance maintained by Augustus's deft combination of propaganda, patronage, and sheer political ruthlessness. Augustus meticulously crafted his image as Rome's benevolent protector, manipulating public perception to portray himself as a fatherly guardian of traditional Roman values. He presented his reign as a revival of ancient virtue, restoring temples, reforming morality laws, and patronizing artists who immortalized his vision. Yet, behind this veneer of civic virtue lay relentless surveillance, suppression of dissent, and strategic manipulation of political rivals. Augustus, ever aware of the fragility of his power, constantly maneuvered in the shadows, ensuring that his authority remained unchallenged. Even within Augustus's household, drama unfolded with tragic and ruthless intensity. His succession was a delicate problem, fraught with personal betrayal and familial treachery. Augustus's daughter Julia, initially the favored heir's conduit, became entangled in scandalous behavior, forcing Augustus into an agonizing choice between paternal affection and public morality. He exiled her, prioritizing political stability over family, an act that exemplified the harsh realities of imperial politics. When Augustus died in AD 14, his legacy and the dangers inherent in succession became immediately clear. His stepson Tiberius ascended the throne, plunging Rome into an era marked by suspicion, paranoia, and the chilling specter of political violence. Tiberius, an experienced military leader and skilled administrator, was nevertheless overshadowed by insecurities, deeply scarred by the bitter rivalries that characterized his ascension. His reign became notorious for treason trials, purges of senators, and a pervasive atmosphere of fear. The empire Augustus so carefully built was tested again under Caligula, whose reign descended swiftly into madness, cruelty, and absurd extravagance. Rome, having sacrificed its republican principles for stability, found itself under the thumb of an emperor whose unpredictability terrified even his closest allies. Caligula's assassination in AD 41 vividly illustrated Rome's cyclical return to violence as a political tool, recalling the dark precedent set by Caesar's own bloody demise. From this turbulence arose Claudius, perceived initially as a harmless fool, yet emerging as a capable ruler who expanded Rome's boundaries into Britain, demonstrating the unpredictability of leadership and power dynamics in Rome's imperial system. His reign highlighted the paradoxical nature of Roman imperial rule, order and prosperity coexisting uneasily with violence, instability, and the constant threat of upheaval. Then came Nero, whose infamous tyranny and excesses pushed the empire to its breaking point. His rule culminated in the Great Fire of Rome and subsequent persecutions that revealed deep fissures within Roman society. Nero's dramatic downfall in AD 68 plunged Rome again into chaos, igniting the bloody civil wars known as the Year of the Four Emperors. Once more, Romans watched helplessly as generals and senators violently contested power, echoing the turbulent legacy Caesar's assassination had left behind. Yet, from these ashes emerged a critical truth about Rome: its resilience. Under Vespasian and the Flavian dynasty, Rome recovered and flourished anew, showcasing its remarkable capacity for renewal amid crisis. Massive public works like the Colosseum symbolized the empire's enduring strength and adaptability, reinforcing Roman identity through spectacle, strength, and relentless ambition. In this broader narrative, Julius Caesar's assassination was more than a pivotal historical event. It represented the irreversible shift in Rome's political and moral landscape. His death set Rome on an unstoppable trajectory toward autocracy, intrigue, and recurring violence masked beneath the brilliance of imperial grandeur. Each subsequent emperor grappled with Caesar's complex legacy, navigating the treacherous currents of power and vulnerability inherited from Rome's first dictator for life. Thus, Caesar's assassination resonated through generations, embedding itself deeply within the Roman consciousness, forever reminding Rome and history of the catastrophic potential inherent in unchecked ambition and political violence. The Republic's end was not merely the death of an ideal, but a stark warning of the precarious balance upon which power rests. Rome's trajectory serves as an enduring reflection on the costs of power, ambition, and the volatile nature of human governance, a legacy echoed through the ages, as powerful today as it was in the bloody aftermath of the Ides of March.